Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang, salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Good afternoon everyone, good morning, good evening, and good night. Yang terhormat Bapak Deva Foster Harolda Swasto, STMSC PhD, selaku Ketua Departemen Teknik Arsitektur dan Perencanaan Universitas Gadjah Mada. Yang terhormat Ibu Dr. Yori Herwangi, STMURP, Ketua Program Sarjana Program Studi Perencanaan Wilayah dan Kota, UGM, atau yang mewakili. Yang terhormat Bapak Dr. Engineering Muhammad Sandi Royhansyah, STMN, Ketua Magister Program Studi Program Perencanaan Wilayah dan Kota, UGM. Yang terhormat Profesor Bakti Setiawan selaku Ketua Program Doktor Program Studi Perencanaan Wilayah dan Kota UGM, serta yang kami hormati para narasumber, yang terhormat Profesor Iwan Rudianto selaku Ketua dari Asosiasi Sekolah Perencanaan Indonesia, yang terhormat Bapak Holi selaku Sekretaris dari Asosiasi Sekolah Perencanaan Indonesia, yang terhormat Profesor Haryo Winarso as the Advisory Board of World Planning School Congress and Asian Planning School Congress 2022, Profesor Delik Hudala as the Coordinator of Scientific Committee of World Planning School Congress and Asian Planning School Congress 2022. Also, the honorable panelists, the former presidents of Indonesian Association, Indonesian Planning School Association, Dr. Heru Purboyo, Dr. Laksono Probosubanu. Selamat siang, Pak. Prof. Imam Bukhori, Dr. Tubagus Furkon, dan Bapak Sandi Royhansyah, and the honorable panelists, Profesor Christopher Silver. Hello, Professor Chris. Good night. Hello. Or good morning. And Profesor Deden Rukmana. Hello, Prof. Deden.
Halo Mbak Yani, apa kabar?
Baik. Apa kabar, Pak?
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Professor Ronald Holzaker from the University of...
He's not able to join.
He's not able to join, okay. And then Dr. Ben Gutera, how are you?
Thank you. Thank you.
And then the Honorable Bob Neville Peter Mars.
Good morning.
Good morning. The Honorable Harmen van de Waal. Thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Hi.
Honorable Associate Professor Sonia Roitman. Hello, Sonia. Good afternoon. And then the Honorable Dr. Ari Syamsura. Good morning, Pak Ari. And last but not least, the Honorable Professor Manfredo Manfredini. Hello, good afternoon, Pak Manfredo.
Thank you for having me.
And all of the participants, Bapak Ibu, dosen, karyawan, alumni, dan juga mahasiswa, serta Bapak Ibu peserta seminar online pada siang hari ini yang berbahagia. Alhamdulillah, puji syukur kita panjatkan kehadirat Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Atas berkat rahmat-Nya lah kita semua dapat hadir bertatap maya untuk bersama-sama menimba ilmu dari para narasumber kita yang luar biasa, dan juga mendapatkan informasi sebanyak-banyaknya dari penyelenggaraan World Planning School Congress and Asian Planning School Congress 2022. Semoga kita semua senantiasa diberkahi kesehatan. Bapak Ibu sekalian, saya Trimuyani Sunar Harum akan menjadi pemandu yang membersamai juga Profesor Bobby, Profesor Bakti Setiawan di seminar perdana Urban Research and Innovation Forum 2022. For the first event in 2022, the forum will be specifically dedicated to support the 5th World Planning School Congress and the 16th Asian Planning School Congress that will be held in Bali from 29th of August to 2nd of September 2022. It is a kind of preparatory workshop to disseminate the Congress as well as to specifically link the theme of the Congress to Indonesian context. It is hoped that through this forum, participants would then interest to apply for the session to discuss more detail on issues related to planning Indonesian cities, planning Indonesian cities, inclusion, innovation, and disruptions. Bapak Ibu juga peserta seminar URIF yang berbahagia bisa mengikuti seminar ini melalui kanal YouTube MPBKPM. Adapun susunan acara di siang hari ini, diantaranya yang pertama adalah pembukaan, yang kedua menyanyikan lagu Indonesia Raya dan himne UGM, dilanjutkan oleh sambutan atau langsung pembukaan atau pengantar dari Profesor Bakti Setiawan, kemudian dilanjutkan sesi paparan dari para pembicara kita, kemudian dilanjutkan pembahasan dari panelis kita dan diskusi dan tanya jawab serta penutupan. Baik Bapak Ibu, without further ado, marilah kita memulai acara seminar online ini dengan berdoa sesuai dengan agama dan kepercayaan masing-masing. Let's pray to open before we open the seminar. So the time is yours. Thank you. Selanjutnya menyanyikan lagu Indonesia Raya dilanjutkan dengan himne UGM. Hadirin dimohon untuk bersikap sempurna di tempat masing-masing.
Nggak kenal aku.
Mahasiswa Gajah Mada
Terima kasih. Memasuki agenda yang selanjutnya, pembukaan atau pengantar dari Profesor Bakti Setiawan. Please, Prof. Bobby, would you please kindly open the session? The time is
Terima kasih
yours.
Bu Yani. Thank you very much Bu Yani. Good afternoon everyone. Selamat siang Ibu Bapak-Bapak. Well, I think this is very luar biasa ya. Sorry Chris, Manfredo, I speak in bahasa Gado-Gado, but this is very very special. Yeah? And I think this also to some extent represent the disruptive era. Yeah? We just shared the announcement just last week, yeah, Bu Yani, yeah. So we disrupt you, yeah, with a new short notice, including also to the panelists that we are going to have a forum. And the 10th of January 2022 to really start the forum, which already started actually 2020, ya Bu Yani. For those who are not joining the forum, just for you to know that we started this forum on March 2020, ya Bu Yani, ya. No, not March, August 2020, ya. As a response to the pandemic, yeah? Because of the pandemic, so we should have work from home until even now, and we innovate somehow to create the forum. In 2020, we were able to conduct 6 forum, right, Yani? And last year, we were able to conduct 5 forum. Actually, we were planning to have this team on December, but somehow we moved to January to really wake you up that we are now already in the new year, 2022. So Happy New Year also to you all, and hopefully this forum will really wake you up, especially we ASPI to wake up that we are going to have very important, challenging Congress which will be held in Bali. Started on 29th of August to 2nd of September. Pak Iwan, our president ASPI, will describe more about the forum, but this forum is actually, as Bu Yani already mentioned, as part of the promoting the World Planning School Congress and APSA Congress 6 months from now. So I'm glad to see that for now already 300 participants join this forum. Kalau 300 participant itu nanti join di Bali Forum 2020, then I'm quite glad that we somehow meeting the Bu Yani target, ya Pak Iwan, ya, because for the Congress in Bali we have a target of 500 direct participant in Bali and 900 online. Because the World Planning School Congress and Asian Planning School Congress in Bali, Pak Iwan will be explained later. Will be done through hybrid model, online and offline. So I'm glad to see this forum is now only for Indonesian participant. So hopefully we will meet in Bali 2000. I'm still in 2001. We hope to see you in August this year. Terima kasih untuk bergabung dengan kami, and thanks for Pak Chris from midnight time in America, Pak Chris, Ben, Sonia, Pak Deden. I know that is a good, not a good time for you to join the forum, but thanks for joining this forum. See you in Bali, Pak Chris, hopefully.
Yeah.
See you in Bali also on. Thank you, Bu Yani. Pak Iwan, you may say more on the World Planning School Congress, ya Pak Iwan. Terima
Thank you very
kasih
much.
Bapak-bapak, ya.
Thank you very much, Pak Bobby, for the opening remarks. We would like also to apologize for participants who are not able to join this Zoom meeting. You can also join us via our YouTube channel, because the limits of this Zoom meeting only until 300 participants.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you once again, Pak Bobby, for the opening remarks. Maybe we can continue to the next agenda, the introduction to the theme and the 13 tracks of the 5th World Planning School Congress and Asian Planning School Congress 2022 with a theme of planning a global village, inclusion, innovation, and disruptions. It will be delivered by Professor Iwan Rudianto, Professor Haryo Winarso, and Professor Delik Udalah.
Bu Yani, I think we have to also say to participant the whole agenda ya. Ibu Bapak-Bapak, after the short presentation by Pak Iwan, Pak Dele is not able to join now. So I will help Pak Iwan to present also the whole Congress briefly, and then followed by Pak Haryo Winarso as the advisory board for the local organizing committee, and then followed by, actually, we were planning to have all president of ASPI to comment, to support, but because of timing, Pak Kris is already midnight, right, Bu Yani?
Ya,
So
Pak Kris and Pak Deden ya, Pak.
Oh ya, Pak Deden, Pak Kris, we will give a time for Pak Kris and Pak Deden to first comment before the ASPI president, and then followed by Ben, by Sonia, by others. Please, Pak Iwan.
Pak Iwan,
Bu Yani,
please,
kita
the
yang share
time
ya.
is yours. Ya. Kedengeran, Pak, ya. Saya bantu
Ibu,
share.
Bapak-Bapak, Pak Iwan adalah Presiden ASPI yang terpilih lagi pada Kongres ASPI September tahun kemarin. Ya. Beliau sudah 1 periode, tapi karena World Planning School Congress, maka presidensi Pak Iwan continue for the next second term. Please, Pak Iwan.
Okay, thank you, Prof. So, could you clearly hear my voice?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And I'm very sorry because I'm not in the very quiet room, and also in the suitable room. It is in a public area. I hope the background is not really disturb you very much. I'm really sorry for that. So I would like to say hello to everybody, to the organizer of UIRF, yeah, Prof. Bobby and Yani, and other colleagues from ASPI, our former president of ASPI. We have also, I have seen the invitation from the former president of ASPI from different university, also a colleague from other university, from Australia and others. I'm not really familiar, and friends from ASPI as well, and other participants. Let me say also Happy New Year to all of you, 2022. I try to get used to say 2022, not 2021. Yeah. So I will briefly introduce you the program of World Planning School Congress, combining with Asian Planning School Congress for the next ASPI agenda in this year, which will be held in Bali from 20th August to 2nd September. We have organized and dealing with this conference actually started from 2 years ago, since we beat the Congress with GPM. And unfortunately at the time, we are not succeed yet because they choose Portugal, yeah, with Lisbon. And then suddenly, I don't know the story, or because Bobby knows the story, and Japan for us to organize this meeting, this conference this year. As already know that this conference, somehow we can say that this is very, what we call it, a little bit langka, yeah, where this 20 years moment, since it was held in Shanghai by joining the WPSC UNESCO Congress and APSA Congress at the time. So this is the next 20 years. We combine these two Congress in Bali. And this, yeah, I think it's you can see also the information in our WPS website. Next. Yeah, this is some pictures, some figures on the previous event which held in Brazil, Venice, and even in APSA Congress as well, in Malaysia, in Beijing, and also in South Korea in the last 2 years. Yeah. Okay, next. Yeah, I would not to read everything on this slide, but the idea of this Congress, as although already know that we would like to bring together the planning and the professionals, all the practitioners from all continents around the world, and we would like to also, yeah, build on our networking, our collaboration with different planning school in the world. Okay, next. I think it's already mentioned also by Prof. that we have this team for our Congress, planning a global village, inclusion, communication, and disruption. Okay, next. Yeah, in the steering committee and also the LOC, Local Organizing Committee, would like to also ask our partner, our member from ASPI to organize this Congress. And as the steering committee, as you can see on the screen, there are Eduardo, the steering committee. I think this is the committee of GPN. They act as the committee of GPN as well as the steering committee of this conference. Yeah, Eduardo, David, and Sorika. We met them quite often, yeah, in the last 2 or 3 months, because we have to make a consultation and also discussion on our conference. We also include here the steering committee from APSA. There are Professor Lee as the current APSA president from Seoul National University, and also Professor Ye and Professor Deguchi. They are from the University of Hong Kong, and the other one Professor Deguchi from the University of Japan. And our local organizing committee, as you can see on the screen, we have the 3 honorary advisory board, Professor Bobi from Gajah Mada University, Professor Arjo Winasro from Institute Technology Company, one last one from University, Professor Lampur. And as the chair, me myself, yeah. And we have also General Secretary Pak Oli. I think most of you already know him, particularly from ASPI colleague. Yeah. And Vianney also as our General Secretary, the Treasurer ITBN. We have also Professor Deli as the coordinator of the scientific committee and the program coordinator, Dian Iwan, coordinator for the local program. Okay, next. Actually, you can see all the information in our website. So we have a scientific committee with divided into 13 tracks. We have a local committee, one local committee, and one member, yeah, one. I don't know. Maybe Pak Bodi can say who is the the chair and co-chair of this scientific committee, from local representative and also from GPN and APSA. So yeah, it quite takes time for us to to discuss even to finalize the name of this list, because we need to consult GPN regarding the name, and we need to ask their permission as well to get some names in this list. We have many from different universities around the world. Okay, next. In our Congress, we have two main programs, pre-Congress. The pre-Congress, which where you can see on the screen, we have a joint phase in all of you, joint studio, student competition, and planning student meeting. Maybe probably you can explain this pre-Congress activity of this Congress program, because some of them is already been prepared by some students from universities, for instance, for the joint space curriculum. So maybe also and the Congress program, we will have two main activities in the Congress.
Next, please.
Yes, we have the the two main activity. It means that we have meeting. The main program is of course the Congress itself, the plenary session, and also the meeting of the APSA. And we would like to also have kind of the mobile. Ya.
Bu Yani, suara Pak Iwan hilang ya?
Iya Pak, sepertinya ya saya nggak bisa mendengar. Pak Iwan, I think we couldn't hear you, we cannot hear you.
Baik Ibu, Pak, saya teruskan saja ya, nggak apa-apa ya.
Ya,
Kalau Pak
Pak
Iwan,
Bobi.
I think we have a very interesting 13 tracks as mentioned by Pak Iwan under the main team planning a global village. Yeah, I don't have to read one by one, but Pak Iwan.
Yeah, really sorry, my connection was not really
silakan
good.
Pak Iwan.
Yes, thank you. So, really sorry to all of you because I have problems with connection. So for the conference, we have 13 tracks, as you can see on the screen. I don't want to say also one by one. You can check by yourself in the website actually. And we have the last track 13, recommended by the GPN committee about land housing and settlement. Okay, next. Now, okay, this is also important. I think this opportunity, I would like to also say that we are now starting our call for session. Yeah, it was started actually from last year from December, and until 28th February 2022. And then within this this introduction, I would like to call also to all of you to send your abstract if you are willing to attend this conference. Yeah, you can see directly. You can access directly our website and the link.
Pak Iwan, I think we have to highlight
Yes.
that the 7 types of sessions quite interesting for the participant.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right, because you can propose a session, a workshop session. For those who are publishing books, you can use the session for book review or book launching. You can have only debate, you can have only roundtable forum, panel discussion, even only for poster presentation. But all are under the 13 tracks, so quite flexible system that we have. In brief, what we are providing is a kind of platform, ya Pak Iwan, ya, for those who are interested to join and to celebrate their kind of activities. So please join, yeah. Check the website and please join and select any kind of session you're interested. We even like to promote this also to the government official. For example, the Bappenas, the National Planning Board, can propose a special session on IKN, for example, right? The Bali provincial government can even propose the special session on Balinese planning, for example. The Ministry of Spatial Planning may propose also special session on spatial planning. Yeah? So it's quite a flexible platform that we are offering. Please continue, Pak Iwan. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Robert, for your. Yeah, as you already also heard from probably we have different kinds of session Congress. As you can see on the screen, paper presentation and discussion. You can also poster presentation and discussion on debate, group request, so on and so on. But you know, in this conference, we don't provide kind of publication actually, but we will provide you with an abstract for those who are interested to organize the publication, as for instance, in seminar proceeding, yeah, in the journal, or even in the chapter book, or any kind of publication. And you can contact the committee to communicate about this issue. Okay, how to submit? Yeah, just easily open the website. Okay. You can find the link by clicking the easy chair. Then you can directly type your name and so on and put your abstract there, and you will get the confirmation email from the company. And we have the deadline until February 28th. Don't forget. And yes, this is the list of our important dates.
Sepertinya ada gangguan lagi nih Pak Bobi, Pak Iwan.
Oh yeah, I think no problem because this slide just show the timeline, right? Important one is that the deadline is 28th of February, and then on 31st of March notification, and then we have the Congress. Please make the important one 29th of August, start with the pre-Congress, and the Congress itself the day after the pre-Congress. Please continue, Pak Iwan.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I'm really sorry because my connection is not really good.
Well, this is interesting, yeah.
This is very interesting. We cannot put the rate in rupiah since it is the World Conference. So The number is not really high, but it is in dollar, yeah, unfortunately. So we had three different type of categories for the participants. Regular one for early about registration and regular registration. We have a specific price for those who are coming from less developed countries, and then also for students. Yeah, if you are students, you will get what we call it, yeah, discount, yes, discount. But please do it earlier because you will get this discount. Yeah. Otherwise, you will get the regular price. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. We would like to wait for you for your participation.
Forget the venue, yeah, Bu Yani. Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is the last one. Yeah, we will organize this conference in Nusa Dua Conference Center.
Yeah. Ya, karena Pak Iwan stop. Baik, Ibu Bapak-Bapak, that's a brief explanation about the Congress.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, the main issue is actually the pandemic, right? It's not finished until now. That's something that we are now playing, you know, in kind of uncertainty. But because we have a hybrid, with mostly online actually, so depending no matter the pandemic, but we will the show must go on, ya Pak Iwan, ya, no matter the situation on August 29. Terima kasih Pak Iwan for presenting briefly the information about Planning School Congress and Asian Planning School Congress. Bu Yani, I think we can go further to Pak Chris, ya.
Yap.
Pak Haryo dulu.
Pak Haryo, mungkin Pak Haryo dulu, kemudian Pak Chris dan Pak Deden, J.
Thank you. I will not be long. I will very short. I know that Chris is noise, but I'm happy to see you, Chris. How are you? And I think it's also Manfred, Sonia, Pak Deden, and I think very happy New Year for you all. Well, perhaps I will not sharing what is it slides. I just want to highlight what is the importance of coming to Bali for this Congress. We are happy that we have now the opportunity to host the Congress, World Planning School Congress in Bali, and this is provide an opportunity for us, especially for Indonesian, to follow this or participate this Congress with relatively cheap, because it in Indonesia, in Bali. You don't have to pay a visa, you don't have to pay airplane cost that's very expensive, but of course you have to pay for the Congress fee. But again, that is okay. And for the colleagues from outside the Indonesian, of course, it is also the opportunity to be able to enjoy the island of Bali. And of course, still have to apply strictly the health protocol. But I think Bali now is better in the sense that the COVID is very low. So that is the important thing, that you can come. I just want to highlight three things about the idea of this Congress, especially with the Indonesian case. In Indonesian case, we know that now in Indonesia the level of urbanization has changed, and surprisingly, well, not very surprisingly, but it changed that now Bekasi became the second largest cities in Indonesia, surpassing Surabaya. So now Bekasi is the second with 3.3 million population. Jakarta still at 10. And this changed the rank of cities. The urbanization is very high in Indonesia, of 57, more than 57%. And of course, this has a consequence of the development. And meanwhile, you know that the disruption in technology and COVID-19, COVID is coronavirus disease of 2019 has changed everything. Almost everything has changed. And we still don't fully understand what we have to do with planning and development in cities in this case in Indonesia. Of course, it can also be applied in other cities in the world, but how it applied in Indonesia. The digital economy, because of the AI, it's also disrupt all the development and planning. Digital economy, the on-demand services, it changed everything. The on-demand services in the city, but actually the capital behind the ODS is around the world. So how we connect this, the neoliberal thinking of this thing that actually also, you know, connect with the ODS only in cities in Indonesia, for instance. Not only in Indonesia, the on-demand service now is everywhere. But of course, the thing that we really feel it very much is the COVID-19, changing in the way how people work from home. And there's now research on offices that now is shrinking because the C-suites, the CEO trying to shrink the office because they can work from home. It changed how the people trading on online services. It changed on the way people traveling. They use private vehicle instead of public vehicles. Changed on the way people sport traveling. They are now looking at more on the countryside rather than in cities. So it's disrupted. Perhaps one thing that I want to share here is only one, which is I think this is interesting. If I may, how can I? This is very fast here. This one, I don't know. Yeah, this is show how people change from work. The C-suites showing that before pre-COVID, 99% working from the office. After COVID, post-COVID, only 10%, 40% hybrid, 7%, only 20% work at work, and so on. And of course, it changes everything. So this is a part, not all, of course. This is a part of what we will try to have in our conference now. In our conference, we, of course, will discuss this, how it have an impact on our planning and development.
Ada ini juga kan sebelum ujian tuh kayak ada ya ikut-ikut apa istilahnya?
Sorry, Mbak.
Yeah, so I think there are three important things that we have to, you know, given more attention in after the in planning and development. First is the digital infrastructure for cities, because the digital economy, because change with how we do trading. The social relations also changes with metaverse. The latest issues is now the metaverse. The education system also changed. We discussed a lot about the studio at the time that we cannot do a studio online.
Learning
But-
studio, yeah.
Because COVID, we can do studio online. So the education system will change. Second is on housing. Housing is also changed very much because we work from home. We work from home, we study, schooling at home, and we relaxing also in home. So house is changes. And the third one is the network. Transportation is very important. Now it's also changing the way we transport, home to work, home to leisure. These three important topic is, of course, in the work planning school congress now, within the 13 topics. What is important, like Pak Popi has mentioned, that we can do it in very flexible. You just send your abstract, we discuss the abstract. If you want to be more detailed, you write down your article, send, and the track chair or committee there will select and publish in a proceeding. Or we do a roundtable discussion. And of course, we will have IKN. Well, at least we will present it with MIT. We don't know yet, but hopefully with the Bapanas, we will be able to send a session with IKN, with MIT, and other session from the ITB, for instance. So I think that's all, Pak Popi. I just want to again highlight that it's very important for you all to come here, and we can have and discuss it very fair. What is it? Enjoy. Thank you.
Terima kasih, Pak Aryo. Thank you very much, Pak Aryo. I think you really provide highlight for the importance of the Congress, not only for Indonesia, but the whole global village. Yeah, I think the term is planning a global village. Now we are really living in a global village, yeah, connected each other. Pak Chris, I know that you are waiting this kind of session since already 1 o'clock at night. Pak Chris, please, Pak Chris.
Okay, thank you.
Are you going to share yourself or we or Yani?
Yeah, I'm going to, if she could share the screen, then I can pull my PowerPoint up. It's quick. It's no more than 5 minutes.
Hello, Mr. Budi and Christopher. I'm Bandi.
Yeah.
To share the screen, Prof. Chris.
Yeah. It says host disable. There we go. Thank you. Perfect. Appreciate it. Okay. Again, I really appreciate the chance to participate. Rather than sleep, I'd rather participate in this discussion. So, next slide, please. Here we go. You know, and to reiterate what everybody else has said, I'm very pleased that ASPE is serving as the host to the World Planning Schools Congress, since it gives me a chance to return to my second home. And I do plan to be there in person unless COVID keeps me away, but I hope not. I also, again, I've participated in the very first and the second and the third Congress. I didn't get a chance to go to Rio. Actually, I was stepping down as dean that year, and I no longer had any travel money, but we won't talk about that. But what I do know is it's an enormous challenge. And so I appreciate that ASPE is taking this on, both for the World Congress as well as for APSA. And so what I thought I would do is just make a few comments about sort of the logistics, a little bit about the themes, and then a little bit about the opportunity. Next slide, please. Again, as Pak Haryo, I think, alluded to, this is an opportunity for Indonesia to showcase its planning issues. As Iwan and Bobby pointed out, there are so many ways in the setup to be able to do that. And while I made this comment, you've reiterated it well, which is the importance of engaging not just academicians, but also practitioners from the government, both national and local governments, and also from the private sector. Because one of the key takeaways from the World Congress is the ability to see how planning issues, both the challenges as well as the strategies, are implemented in different parts of the world. And if it's just academics talking to each other, that's great for us, but it loses the impact of being able to have some impact on planning and policy making. And so, and as I think the suggestion was, they don't have to necessarily present papers. In fact, particularly if they were connected with practitioners from other parts of the world on similar issues, it would be a great way to share best practices, but also to understand opportunities that are there. And again, there's lots of topics that would fit that very well. Next slide. One of the big challenges, and this is really, you're addressing it right now through this meeting, is to encourage the fullest participation possible. We know, and just based on the 300 people here, and there's probably more that would want to be from Indonesia, there's going to be very strong interest among students, faculty, and practitioners from Indonesia. But the big challenge, I think, for the local host is how do you draw people from elsewhere? I think obviously from within the Asia region, it's also going to be well represented. Plus, you know, it's a jointly done with APSA. So I think the biggest challenge is to try to, and this is sort of an immediate problem, to disseminate the call for papers and the various kinds of presentations that are possible as intensively as possible. There's only, you know, literally a month and a half left before the final deadline. In all honesty, one of the challenges is getting the other GPAN associations to distribute it widely. And, you know, for example, ACSP is going to be having their Congress or their conference at my association in Toronto in early November of 2022. One of the things that we found is that if the organizing committee can communicate directly with the presidents of the various associations and point out to them that this doesn't necessarily have to conflict with if they're going to do an in-person one, this doesn't have to conflict because the opportunity to do it virtually is there because of the hybrid nature of it. Again, I mentioned here just quickly, I'm paraphrasing now, but you know, I've actually only heard about it because number one, I'm active in GPAN, but secondly, I heard it from Delic and I heard it from Tree or Yanni, but I've not heard it from ACSP. Now I know Dedin is here, and I think he is now the representative for ACSP. But I think what we have to do is to get not just for ACSP but the other associations to get the leadership of that association to go ahead and distribute the information as quickly as possible to everybody. I mean, we have 900 people that show up for our conference. And it's the more we can do. Again, one of the previous ones that we had, I think it was our third World Congress. Again, it was mostly people from Australia, New Zealand, and Asia that were there. there were only 16 of us from the United States that were there at that conference. And part of it, was the logistics and the cost, but we weren't fighting COVID, but we also weren't doing hybrid at that point. So just sort of a urging to contact the association presidents as soon as possible and urge them, maybe give them a flyer that they can distribute. Next slide. Again, there's a rich array of themes, and that's been covered, so I'm not going to cover that. But again, I'm reiterating the point that it's an opportunity for Indonesian planners and academics to engage with others from different parts of the world in these sessions. But I do have a couple other comments, and go to the next slide.
Next, please.
Next slide. Yeah. Yeah, I was sort of surprised there's no session on economic development. And I don't say that as a capitalist because that doesn't fit me at all. But everything planning does is sort of defined by how it affects that. Also for Indonesia, and for many countries, I was just in Costa Rica over the Christmas holidays, and they've been devastated because tourism has been severely affected their economy. Also, again, I found the sort of the infrastructure, transport, mobility a bit, and again, you didn't set these were done by somebody else, I gather, but it really doesn't cover the notion of environmental infrastructure as well. And certainly in the case of Indonesia, but also academics dealing from India and various African countries, the whole environmental infrastructure, including the United States. It's a huge, huge issue. So anyway, next slide, please. So then what I did was say, okay, well, what were some of the sort of the overarching themes? And actually, I think Pak Haryo was pointing to Bekasi as now the #2 city in terms of population, and the whole Jakarta mega urban region is important. But I also think, obviously, this is a chance also to not only highlight the new capital city, but to do it in a comparative context. I mean, if you can get the Brazilians there to talk about the creation of Brasilia, the Pakistanis talking about the new capital. I'm not sure. Well, from Myanmar too, again, new capital city that actually didn't work so well, hasn't worked so well. Again, lots of examples of that. Also, I think Indonesia has really taken the lead among various Asian countries to promote the Sustainable Development Goals, but particularly by linking it to local planning and policy. How is that happening? How is that being done? And I would think we would look at it both in terms of how important it is, but also, is it being done effectively? How is it working? The national and regional integration of rapid transit, sort of creating this sort of modern new infrastructure, is important. And then again, my emphasis on environmental infrastructure, not just flood mitigation, but also addressing the issue of waterways. And we could, the Chinese planners could talk about the problems in their polluted rivers and the challenges that that's facing. And then I also thought it's a good time now, 20 years out, to look at decentralization and local governance. I mean, it's it was really when the first Congress was happening that Indonesia was in the midst of its decentralization, democratization period. But so were lots of other places in the world. And again, I think this is a theme that would really draw a lot of interest. Next slide. And then one very specific suggestion, and this just comes out of teaching a course in comparative urbanization and discovering this international organization, Bioneers, that's working throughout the world to show how you can do scientific application of plants to remove pollution from rivers and canals. They're working in Chinese cities, they're actually working in a small city in New Hampshire, in Vermont, where literally they take the wastewater from that small city, they run it through this purely plant-based system, and 2 days later they can put it into Lake Champlain as perfectly clear water. Again, these are sort of the issues. If we could get some engagement, maybe even have someone from Bioneers as a keynote, maybe they've already been set up. And because we're doing it virtually, they can participate. They don't have to come to Bali to do it. Is a way to really bring some comparative perspectives. Again, Pakhario mentioned a couple other changes that are happening. You know, the way transportation is working. The city of Paris is now turning the whole city into a 15-minute city. You know, they're trying to make it so it's possible to walk everywhere. Again, it's one of these ideas that's catching on everywhere, and something that would be tremendous to focus on in the Congress. I think my last slide is coming up. One more. Yeah. So again, I think it's fabulous that the World Congress is happening in Indonesia, and I really do admire, and I feel sorry for all the logistic challenges that you're going to have for this, you know. But what I've tried to do is to suggest that there really is. It's not just a gathering of academics. It really is a gathering of experts that are truly interested in how planning can make better places for people to live. And certainly Indonesia has a lot to offer to the participants of how to do it right. At the same time, getting everyone from different parts of the world together gives a chance to share really best practices. And I know that will happen. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
And thank you, Pak Chris. Terima kasih sekali, Pak Chris. I was a bit stressed actually in the past few weeks, especially moving from 2021 to 2022, which means that we have only 6 months to go. Yeah, but with your comments, suggestion, I have now more optimistic views in the future. Yeah, yes, we do have to finish some of the homework. Yeah, like greater communication with Japan and so on and so forth. But thank you very much, especially also on your suggestion on a showcase of Indonesian planning, right? And that's why the reason I'm also inviting my colleagues like Ben from Germany, who have a project on water sensitive planning in Indonesia. For example. I'm inviting also Harman and Neville, who with me also having a project on Metro Java. Try to see the landscape in Java 2045, for example, for example of the showcase of Indonesian planning system. Yeah, but then I know he's with Sonia also writing a book on Indonesian planning that he may explain also later on. But thank you, Pak Chris. Yeah,
well, thank you.
More energy, Pak Chris.
Thank you very much.
As you always, you know. Yeah. Bu Yani, yeah.
Thank you very much, Pak Chris. Maybe we can go to the next panelist, Prof. Deden Rukmana. Prof. Deden, the time is yours.
Thank you very much, Bu Yani. Thank you, Pak Bobby. It's always my pleasure, my honor to be here and to be back to my friends in Indonesia, Pak Haryo, my all friends here. So I will try to say a few things here. I'm glad to see Chris here. It's good to see you here and also to speak after you. So I don't really need to say to say a lot of things because you have covered many things. So let me say with this first. Like Chris said, that this is very good opportunity for Indonesian scholars, Indonesian practitioners to present their work and to share their work with the world, because this is the best venue, best in terms of cost effectiveness. Just like Pak Haryo said, you don't need to pay visa to to go abroad. You just need to go to Bali and then present to what your work there. It's important to me because you know, I'm Indonesian. Just happen to teach here in the US. I also teach international development planning here in US. So that way I know how it takes to teach planning to American students or some international students here in the university. But also what I learned is the important to bring experience, to bring planning practices from around the world to the classroom. So that's why it's good if we have this conference, this World Planning Conference in Indonesia, and then many Indonesian participants present their work in this conference, because world will learn from Indonesia. And just like Pak Bobby said, yes, I am. I've been working with Sonia. Sonia is also here. We are editing a book, the book titled Routledge Handbook of Urban Indonesia. So we have 27 chapters. Pak Chris also wrote a first chapter about history of planning in Indonesia. Pak Bobby also wrote a second chapter about planning education in Indonesia. That's why a little story about ASPI also presented there. And we have another total 27 chapters from 64 contributing authors. Of course, I will also let Sonia to present you about more about this book. But the thing that I like to emphasize here is, you know, in 2009, scholars from South Africa, she just passed away a few months ago, Vanessa Watson. So she wrote a very powerful and very meaningful article in Urban Studies titled "Seeing from the South." So basically, she tried to, to show the world, hey, you need also to learn from the South. It's not just everything from the West, from North America, from Europe, but also from the rest of the world, from the South, global South. It's the term that now we usually use now instead of developing countries or third world countries, global South. So that's also something that me and Sonia learned from this book project, that there are so many projects, there are so many planning practices from Indonesian cities that we can share to the world, and we can expand the knowledge, the practice of planning from Indonesian cities. So we have Kampung Aquarium, we have Kampung Jodipan in Malang, we have Kampung Codet. Sorry, I'm mixed with Indonesian in Yogyakarta. So many experience in planning practice that we can share with the world, and we can expand that knowledge. So it's something that I like other Indonesian colleagues here, friends, also to come to the conference and to share your experience, your expertise, your planning practice, and share with the world. I'm also, of course, if COVID permits us, I will like to go there. Just like Chris said, I'm honored that I will be also representing ACSP, Associate Collegiate School of Planning, in GPEC representative. Actually, my role will start, Chris, in March 1st. So now I'm still in the process to getting there. But of course, our conversation with you, I also learned a lot from your role in that capacity in the past. Same with Bruce Stiftel, so I learned from him too. But I look forward to being there in Bali. Hopefully, COVID will not will permit us to go there. I really look forward. Thank you so much.
Terima kasih Pak Deden. I think your comments very much linked with the Chris comment on the importance of having inclusive forum in Bali. Not only academician but also professional, and that's why we are also working with IAP, Indonesian Planning Professional Association. But also important to bring also as many as local government and central governments from Indonesia. Like this forum, actually, Bu Yani, I think half of these participants are coming from cities all around Indonesia. You can check from the participant ya. So Ibu Bapak-Bapak, please datang di Bali. Mungkin it's also time for you to present your showcase of your city or region, right, Pak Deden ya. For example, Yogyakarta can present a special case on Yogyakarta, for example, Bandung, for example, ya, Malang, for example. So please, Ibu Bapak-Bapak dari berbagai kota dan provinsi di Indonesia, please join the forum as a way for presenting your best practice from your city region to all over the world. It's a part of the promotion, marketing strategy for your city and region to all over the world. Ya, please, ya, Bu Yani. Terima kasih Pak Deden.
Terima kasih banyak Pak Deden. Thank you very much. Also Pak Chris ya, despite of the time difference in the US, both of you, Pak Chris and Prof Deden, are willing to join us still in this special session early this year. Once again, thank you very much. Terima kasih banyak. Pak Bobby, maybe for the next one we can continue to hear comments or maybe suggestions from our former presidents of ASPI.
Ya, tidak semua bisa hadir, Bu Yani, yang sudah hadir termasuk founding fathers of ASPI, Pak Laksono. Actually, Pak Heru also with Pak Laksono, also Pak Heru is the first president, and then Pak Chono, if I'm not mistaken. But Pak Heru is not able to join, so we may invite Pak Chono first, please. Pak Chono.
Pak Chono.
Pak Chono, Pak Furkon, Pak Sani, Pak siapa lagi ya? Oh, Pak Imam.
Pak Imam. Pak Imam. Pak Dar says hello to everyone, and
Pak Dar,
he apologized that he couldn't make it today. Pak Chono first ya. First.
Ya.
Baik, selamat siang.
Selamat siang, Pak.
Pagi.
Selamat siang, Pak Chono.
Selamat siang, Pak Gultom. Selamat pagi sekali, Pak Chris. Good very early morning for Pak Chris. Good afternoon for some people, maybe Australia. So it depends on where you are in this global village. What applies to you? Good for you. It's very nice to hear from Pak Chris. I haven't heard your voice for years, actually. The last time we met was in Mexico, I think. It was in...
That's right, at the second Congress. That's right.
It's 2006 or 2007 or something like that. Yeah, it was a long time ago. You were much younger than now. I'm still as young as then.
Yeah, I know. You are.
Okay.
Of course.
Anyway, thank you very much, Pak,
Very young.
for your comments. It was very useful. I think it would be very useful for Pak Bobby and also Pak Deden's comments showcasing Indonesian type of planning. I think it's very important. But that will put Pak Bobby to task about distributing the idea to people who are doing best practices in Indonesia, and that's another task that you need to go ahead and right on doing it. Well, first of all, I'd like to say that I'm really proud to be one of the a team of 7 planning schools in Indonesia in the year 2000 to initiate ASPI. I was very proud to be part of that team, and very proud also to be the second president of ASPI, which I think it was in 2003 to 2005. 2001, Pak Heru was the president, and then we went to World Planning School Congress in Shanghai. Right, Pak Bobby?
Yeah.
And I remember we met, Chris wasn't there yet, but there was Bruce Stiftel and other guys. But I remember meeting Zoritza.
Oh, okay.
That was my colleague in UNC when I went to school there in the 1990s. And we were, ASPI was part of the signatories for the WSPC at that time. I did the signing personally because Pak Heru was not able to come. So I was there, and I was the vice president of ASPI at the time. So after 20 years, we meet again here, and ASPI is one of the penyelenggara lagi apa ya?
Local organizing committee.
One of the organizers of this very important World Planning Conference, and before you know it, we became an international, participant in the development of the planning profession and also education. And that only happens not because of me, because I was there for 2 years and then I left and I do other things. And the younger people like Bobby and Sunny and the other people from other universities, they are the ones that took ASPI to this level. And I'm also proud of that my successors are able to increase, to build on the role of ASPI up to this level. I don't have much to say because I think the comments of Pak Deden and Pak Chris is quite sufficient enough to put Pak Bobby and his colleagues running around trying to make up. And I only have one message that I feel I need to get across to my fellow planning educators, especially from Indonesian planning schools, which is that planning does not end when plans are produced. I'm talking about traditional urban planning, urban land use planning. A lot of obstacles have to be overcome for plans to matter. Politically, economically, legally, socially, culturally, those are sometimes very difficult obstacles for plans to be able to influence how people behave on the ground. We really need a concerted effort among us planning educators, planning students, planning professionals, and also civil society, and of course the government, to be able to create a planning environment or planning ecosystem that may ensure that plans do matter, that plans affect the behaviors of landowners in going about their business in a sustainable and productive manner. So there's still a lot to do in that area, after the plan area. This is what I'm always talking about in class, and trying to influence students to think about not only producing plans, but also creating a situation where the plans will have some influence on people's behavior. And I think a lot of things can be learned from international forums for this. We can learn about how people do this in other countries, and they can learn about how we do things here. So there'll be an exchange of experiences. Which is the most important goal for any international conference. Okay, I would like to wish the best for the organizers and for all the participants, so that this time we can learn much more than we can from other World Planning Conferences before this, especially the Indonesian people. Okay, thank you very much, Pak Bobby.
Terima kasih Pak Chono. Yeah. The reason also why we am asking you to join this forum is to force you to come to Bali, Pak Chono. Please, Pak. So thank you for your suggestion, but see you in Bali with Pak Chris, Pak Dede, and other former ASPI president, because in the past few years, it's difficult to meet with previous ASPI president, especially the founding fathers, Pak Heru, Pak Laksono, and so on and so forth. So hopefully in Bali we can have a meeting and then talk about the future of ASPI Planning Education Indonesia. Terima kasih Pak Chono ya. Bu Yani, sekarang urutannya siapa? Pak Imam ya?
Pak Imam, iya. Tadi ada Pak Furkon, tadi ada Pak Furkon juga sudah bergabung bersama kita.
Terima kasih.
Urutan Ketua ASPI itu Pak Heru, Pak Laksono, lalu Pak siapa Pak Chono?
Pak Haryo.
Pak Daryono,
terus Pak Imam.
Terus Akbar.
Iya Pak Ros, Pak Haryo, baru saya.
Ya.
Pak Imam, lalu saya. Please Pak Imam.
Thank you Pak Bobby. Thank you Bu Yani. Just want to give short comment because I have to shift to another meeting. Udah ada rapat ASPI nih, sebentar lagi. Kok ASPI apa? Ban PT, sorry. Okay, yeah, my comment relates to my position as the chairman of Accreditation Council of Ban PT, and I will concern on planning educations, because I think we have debates that have not been finished on the use of information technology and distance learning and digital learning for one of competencies that should be delivered to our students. ASPI agreed that planning school graduates should have at least 4 competences: planning issues, planning methods, planning theories, planning practices. And as for the planning practices, or we call it studio, we have a lot of discussions on it, whether it is possible to deliver this competence using distance learning. And I think after this pandemic, we have a lot of experiences relating to this issue. And yeah, I think we can discuss a lot about this, and we can share our experience each other. And I'm sure that distance learning in the future will be one of thoughts that cannot be avoided by all planning schools in the world. I think, yeah, itu aja sih, just that my comment. Thank you, Pak Bobby.
Terima kasih.
Saya mohon izin juga ini harus.
Terima kasih banyak.
I think Pak Imam touched a very important subject, yeah, as Pak Arya mentioned, the smart, the IT, and then planning education, the distance learning. I think Pak Chris and Pak Deden and Sonia and so on and so forth, maybe learning from the pandemic is something that we can talk during the World Planning School Congress and Asian Planning School Congress, is the possibility of collaboration in the global village on planning education. Yeah. It's now
Yeah.
very easy to, as Pak Chris mentioned, to invite speakers, lecture from everywhere in the world. So we will have very inclusive education system. We can record our lecture, for example, lecture on planning theory and share to other colleagues. So that's something that we can discuss, ya Pak Imam, ya.
Saya
And
kira very
good
interesting.
that from the 13 tracks, we have a special track on planning education. So I'm proposing to participants, those who have experience on distance learning during pandemic, we can share. And even actually for the Joy Studio, we may also conduct the Joy Studio through online.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pak Imam. Yeah.
Okay, welcome Pak Bobby.
Terima
Bu Yani.
kasih Pak Imam. Silahkan melanjutkan kegiatannya Pak. Yang selanjutnya ini Dr. Furkon ya Pak. Pak
Ya.
Bobi.
Pak Furkon, please.
Ya, terima kasih Pak Bobi, Bu Yani. Good afternoon, everyone. Good night, Pak Chris, Pak Deden. I'm happy to meet you again here. So I want to emphasize that Pak Imam said about planning education, because I have the co-chair of that track about planning education. Even though the main topic of this Congress is about planning practice, but I think planning education is one of important point to support planning practice in Indonesia and also in the world. So when we talk about planning education, I think there is two main topics that everyone can share the experience in teaching and learning in planning education. First of all, I think about curriculum. People can talk about adjustment, modification of curriculum in the pandemic era, for example, experience from many learning methods. For example, there's kind of studio like a hybrid studio or even online studio that was implemented in many planning school in Indonesia, also in any other part of the world. And the second point, or second topic, also we can discuss more about learning ecosystem in planning education. So I mean the ecosystem here not only within university, because the nature of planning itself is a public issue, that broader context of ecosystem covering also private and public sector, I think it's also be considered as part of the planning or learning ecosystem in planning or curriculum. Back to the topic of the Congress about inclusion, innovation, and disruption. For Indonesia, for example, the issue of inclusion is a very important point. So it's not only because Indonesia is a diverse society, different in ethic and religion, but also the issue of inequality, access in social and economics opportunities still be a big problem in Indonesia. So people can address a curriculum or method of learning in planning school that cover this topic of inclusion of society. The second about innovation, learning for the pandemics. So we can learn from many way of learning and planning education. So I think we have great experience. Then I read also many articles in journal Explore about many methods of learning during the pandemic era. So the last one that I want to speak here is about disruption. Pak Imam said about the new kind of learning, including also some substance that have to be covered in Indonesian or on planning education. For example, about big data or about information technology must be considered in many part of the curriculum of planning education. That's Pak Bobi. Thank you.
Terima kasih Pak Furkon. I think you propose interesting, important things, ecosystem, planning ecosystem, education ecosystem. That's great. Pak Chono mentioned about the planning and implementation. Planning students have to really understand the ecosystem of planning and the politics, the economy, the law, and so on and so forth. Very important. Ya. Terima kasih Pak, and also the inclusion, ya, to make sure that planning education really force or facilitate students to a more inclusive, kind of society. Terima kasih Pak Furqon, and thanks for joining. I know that you are now on a holiday actually, but thanks for joining short time. But you are a co-chair for planning education. Ya. Teman-teman ASPI, please join the special session on planning education, ya, with Pak Furqon. Bu Yani, siapa lagi? Pak Sani ya?
Terima kasih banyak Pak Furqon. Thank you very much. Yeah, last but not least, from the previous presidents of ASPI, Pak Sani, Bapak Dr. Engineering Muhammad Sani Royhansyah.
Oke,
Putra.
thank you, Pak Bobi, Bu Yani. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good evening, or good night, ya, for Pak Deden and Pak Chris. First of all, thank you for the time. I'm one of the proud member of ASPI that ASPI is now so progressive and chosen as the host for WPSG and APSA. Yeah, at that time I felt how ASPI bid as host at the time, starting from APSA and then for the WPSG. Yeah, as previously stated, that because so many participants here, also students, especially for student or related stakeholders, I wish or I hope that this event can bring the world closer to us, and instead also introduce how our experience to the world, as previous panels also stated that points. Regarding the term, actually it seemed that planning a global village, inclusion, innovation, and disruption has described how planning should be able to break away from, for example, now we call it VUCA, VUCA, or volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. It's time to show our way, our Indonesian way, or our local wisdom to respond planning issues for instant. Yeah. That's from my points, Pak Bobi. But finally, I would like to send my full support for this organizing committee, and hope that we will bring this event successful and beneficial for us. Thank you very much, Pak Bobi, Bu Yani.
Terima kasih Pak Sani to remind us on the VUCA issue, ya, very important, ya, Bu Yani.
Yep, very important. Thank you very much, Pak Sani, once again. And also, Pak Sani is one of the co-chairs, if I'm not mistaken.
Method and analysis.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mana Pak Sani?
Pak Sani is actually the ones who signed the agreement, between when we proposed APSA Congress. So he is one of the provocateur of this event, actually. Yeah.
Terima kasih banyak once again. Thank you very much, Pak Sani. Pak Bobi, I think we can move to our our panelist B, ya. Yeah. As Pak Chris and Pak Deden already presented, maybe Prof. Ron?
Pak Ron is not able because he's traveling now in US. Yeah, he's not able this time to join. Okay. But he gave us support and will even come to Bali to have a special session on corridor development. Pak Ronald is from the Groningen, University of Groningen, Netherlands.
Yeah, so the next one will be Pak Bern, Dr. Bern, from Burda, Germany.
Ben, are you there?
Ben.
Yes, I'm here, yeah.
Yeah.
Please.
Sorry, semuanya. The reason I'm inviting Ben is because in the past few years, we have a very interesting project under the Bordaya, Pak Ben, on water sensitive planning, in which Pak Chris also mentioned, Ben, you may remember that Professor Chris mentioned the importance of our Indonesian to learn more about the water issue. So you are really the one who can answer that kind of question. Please, Ben.
Yeah, thank you for this invitation. Yeah, and I think I'm looking forward to this conference. Yeah, and what was told and mentioned is this practice-orientated research. Yeah, first. Yeah, that this is certainly capacity building. It is human resource development. Yeah. And there are new approaches requested, yeah, to address urban planning, yeah, to bring together different sectors, yeah, and then certainly what was told earlier, to bring it to the ground, to bring it to the reality. May I share my my screen? Is it possible?
Yeah, Bu Yani, please, yeah.
Mas Arika, maybe you could help to grant like access for Pak Bern to share the screen. Could you please try it, Pak Bern?
Yeah, I try my very best. Yeah, just a moment. And here I am. So,
yeah.
Can you see it? Can you see it?
Yes,
yeah,
we
please,
can.
Yeah.
So, good morning, everybody. Again, yeah, here in Berlin, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, yeah, and you are in the afternoon. I'm looking outside, yeah, it's very cold, it's gray, yeah, and it's really winter time. And unfortunately, I cannot be in Indonesia, yeah, and so yeah. But anyhow, now as it was told earlier, yeah, now we have the big advantage, yeah, to communicate in new ways, in new formats, yeah. And here I just want to present this program, what we are implementing, yeah, with a couple of partners. It's Polyurban Waters. It's the polycentric management of urban waters in fast-growing cities in peri-urban areas in Southeast Asia. Long title, yeah, but you see the image, yeah, and you will recognize it perhaps, yeah, and you know, this water challenges in secondary and tertiary cities in Southeast Asia. What is water in the city? Water in the city certainly, yeah, is it's rain, yeah, it's drainage, it's water supply, it's water treatment, yeah, and what we try to address, yeah, in this program that is implemented with Universitas Gadjah Mada and with partners from Germany, from Indonesia, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam. That's a network program where we will try to address these new water challenges, yeah, to the city and in the context of the overall transformation of cities. And that means we have, I think that could be of interest as well to be discussed at the Congress, to say how practice-orientated education capacity building can be conducted. Yeah, we conduct so-called real laboratories. Yeah, in Sleman. Yeah. In Kraja, Cambodia, and Sam Nua, Laos, yeah, and there we try to develop new concepts, yeah, to address existing and emerging challenges, yeah, for the management of waters, and what is mentioned earlier already a couple of times, yeah. We would really to test, yeah, and to see, yeah, how the Sustainable Development Goals can be brought on the local level. Localizing SDGs, that's one of the keys. So I should go forward. but it seems to be a problem. Ah, yeah, okay. So that means, yeah, we have, this is a network, yeah, of universities, yeah, Gata Matcha, but as well in Vietnam, yeah, in Cambodia, in Germany, Thailand, and we bring together academia, we bring together cities, we bring together practitioners from cities, water operators, private investors, yeah. And here we try to understand what are the water challenges, yeah, in the cities, yeah, because what we observe, and we think this is as well very much of relevance, yeah, for practice-orientated studies, yeah, education, is to have in mind, yeah, that an urban planner thinks differently, for instance, from somebody who is water operator or who is a water resource manager, yeah. So, and this intersectoral approach, yeah, is very much addressed, yeah. And here we do not do blueprint research, yeah, but we try to discuss with our partners with the city, yeah, what are how effective and sustainable management schemes of water resources can be in accordance with institutional and financial capacities of these secondary and tertiary cities. That means these larger, medium-sized and smaller cities, yeah. And then to discuss, yeah, how transformation processes can be organized, or how intersectional cooperation can contribute to a water-sensitive urban transformation. What we see today, and here we discuss it in the context, yeah, is that there are these drivers, yeah, of economic integration, economic growth, new investments, infrastructure development, urban expansion, and climate change and extreme weather events. Here we try to create with our partners, respectively our partners, as Gata Matcha is just conducting with civil society organizations in Sleeman, a study, and say, okay, to understand what are the drivers of urban development, then to say, okay, how does it translate in pressures, in increasing water demand, increasing wastewater generation? Yeah, water use means as well wastewater generation. Then sealing of surfaces, that means as well, and deforestation and land use changes. And here, what we really try very deeply is to support cities in an evidence-based decision-making. This is of very much of importance, yeah, for governance, and as well, yeah, to that academia can provide reliable information for decision-making in cities, yeah, and to say, okay, what is the situation of water, of wastewater, sanitation, water availability, and then certainly to reflect on the impacts, yeah, environmental degradation, damage of public and private assets, yeah, public health issues, yeah, water security, and how to identify an integrated water-sensitive urban planning process, yeah. And that means as well to support water-sensitive infrastructure development. And here you see a scheme, what we have elaborated together in this network program, and a systematic, yeah, where academia can show how the overall situation looks like, and bring to in by this fact-based discussion and evidence, yeah, we can bring in the different stakeholders. What we see, and what was as well addressed earlier already, this was to bring together urban planning, bring it down on level. That means bring together urban planning with integrated water management, in our case, But I think for other cases, such as energy, such as public transport, it's quite similar. Yeah. So, and that means how this intersectoral cooperation may look like. Here, this is what you all know. Yeah, how, for instance, Yogyakarta urbanized areas has grown over the years. Yeah, and so yeah, and this is just one example what we see in many cities in the region in Indonesia. The challenges, yeah, and we are working in Sleman here on a village district level. Yeah, and here our friends Gajah Mada and other partners, they have elaborated here base maps, for instance, say, okay, what is the situation, yeah, of urban development, how it translates, yeah, and here we see this transformation, what is observed in many cities. Urban, peri-urban, rural, and that means, yeah, that the urbanization process is more and more going into translating peri-urban areas, and rural areas more and more disappear. And such developments do or may result in such challenges such as floods. Yeah. There is wastewater generation, and as well here the challenges what we see, yeah, that water has to be provided to citizens, to communities in good quality. Yeah, the water operators, they struggle to set up adequate infrastructure. Yeah. And from this urbanization process towards and say, okay, rural communities, peri-urban communities, urban communities, yeah, there are intermediate technologies, yeah, but it's certainly a reflection has to take place, yeah, how to shape this transformation process, water-sensitive transformation process, yeah. In what does it mean for a modern city, yeah, that is as well has a strong resilience towards climate change vulnerabilities, for instance. What we discuss with our cities, yeah, is to say, okay, now what we are just doing baseline assessment. What is the situation today? But here, for instance, we have discussed with the local government and authorities in Sleman to say, okay, this is the situation today there. If this development goes further as business as usual, what does it mean? Yeah, there is maybe a lack, no sufficient public spaces, yeah, unmanagement property expansion, flood-prone areas, yeah, lack of vegetation, yeah. But with communities, with local governments, and with respective stakeholders, such investors, we try to discuss, yeah, how an alternative or another development may look like that addresses the needs, yeah, for water, public services, water-related public services, such as water supply, wastewater management, drainage, but as well, yeah, to strengthen the resilience of the city and the livability of cities. This has, in the past, as you may know, or as you know, very often such developments were very often driven by an approach, yeah, a top-down approach. Now, especially in Indonesia, is as well changing. Yeah, participatory processes are much more of a process of importance. Yeah. And what we suggest, and we will come up, and this has to be discussed with communities and others, yeah, say, okay, from a conventional approach, this gray approach, yeah, how to promote new approaches that integrate gray approaches with green-blue approaches, yeah, that here I have just addressed one issue, it's urban drainage system, yeah, because of sealing, yeah, more there are floods occurring, yeah, and what was addressed already earlier, yeah, say, okay, there are in the region, China, Singapore, as well in Europe, yeah, but it starts as well now in Indonesia, such sponge city approaches, water city sensitive city approaches, yeah, that integrates green aspects, yeah, and that allows other developments. Just here as well, we know very often, yeah, highly costly infrastructure is implemented, but it doesn't not work, yeah, because the cities do not have the means, capacities, financial issues, financial capacities to maintain. Here we discuss, yeah, how technological transformation may look like, yeah, what are approaches, and as well to say water sensitive ecotourism development, how it may look like, yeah, that means, yeah, greenhousing, green roofs, yeah, and public spaces, what are important. We have already an elaborated first publication. You can download load it from our website, yeah. But our suggestion is there could be a side event, yeah, or special session, yeah, water sensitive transformation of secondary tertiary cities in Indonesia and Southeast Asia, yeah, at a Bali Congress, yeah, and we would prepare from the project to contribute. Thank you.
Terima kasih, Ben. I think for Indonesian participants, especially from the city government from all over Indonesia, I think it's a good time for you to join the special session by Boda in Bali, yeah, Pak Ben, because water sensitive planning is one important challenge that we are facing, not only for Indonesian cities, but also for the global city. So please join special session in Bali on water sensitive planning, water urban polycentric urban water approach. Ya. Terima kasih, Ben. Ya, very good.
Thank you. All the best. Yeah. Good luck for organization. Yeah.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you very much, Ben.
So what next? Who next?
So the next one will be Neville.
Neville and Harman.
Good morning.
Yeah, Neville and Harman. Please, the time is yours, Pak Neville and Harman.
If you could help me share my screen.
Oke, Mas Arika tolong dibantu ya, Pak Neville bisa dikasih akses. Could you please try it now?
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Afternoon, night. I am very excited to be back with you, Pak Bobby, and with your whole team. I wanted to share a bit what we've been working on together with all the people here on the screen. Harman and I have kind of initiated this very ambitious project already more than a year ago. And now it's expanded into a fairly large platform looking into the Desa Kota, specifically trying to counter the rather fundamental challenges that the Desa Kota has when it comes to planning. It seems that as a sort of preliminary presentation today, I will share some of the initial findings, and it seems that we're tapping into a really uncharted territory that would be very interesting for the forum, and I think in general is important to investigate. And I'll end with basically a call for participants, students, academics, and people from the practice side who are all invited to jump on board and contribute to this project. So we are looking at the Desa Kota, which of course is Java-wide, is a ubiquitous condition, but we're specifically focusing on this region where the core predicaments, the core challenges of planning the Desa Kota really come to the fore the strongest, which in our opinion is twofold. On the one hand, we see a kind of a collision between what we've been calling global urbanism and local urbanism, or rather planned, fairly heavy-handed top-down systems that land on top of the map and collide with really intricate, fine-grained, human-centric systems, specifically the Desa Kota. And secondly, we have encountered that when we dealing with the Desa Kota, you really are faced with the fundamental, let's say, schism between urban practice and urban theory. Many people this morning have already mentioned, for me this morning, have mentioned that it's critical to begin to integrate theory and practice. That it's really fundamental that students will be able to engage with content that is actually applicable, and that we develop models that are actually applicable within this really dynamic environment. So the real goal we feel is critical is that what we've been calling red, green, and blue, or urban, agricultural, and natural systems, are observed and planned and understood as an integrated system. And that's much easier said than done. First off, strangely enough, it's not the traditional urbanization challenges that we feel we need to be addressing. It's rather this kind of shift in lifestyle. I think that's also been mentioned earlier, that is reflective of an in situ or a local transition of the urban landscape, where the beautiful Desa Kota is transforming from the inside out. Yes, there is a shift from the rural to the cities, but actually the countryside is growing rapidly itself as well. So with that initial kind of observation, we've been zooming in onto this area, Central Java in general. We've drawn this square of 130 by 130 kilometers. And within that, we will look at a focus area, ideally developing some pilot projects for the Borobudur region. In this case, a sort of very objective 10 by 10 kilometer. And within that region, in a perfect world, by come August this year, we will hopefully present an integrated model where top-down planning and bottom-up development are understood and managed within one framework. As mentioned, this is challenging. Looking at Yogyakarta, that's this peak here next to the question mark. Densities are obviously scattered about, sort of seeping into the countryside, but new anchors are really driving urban corridors. So towards the east, industrialization, towards the northwest, the Borobudur as a renewed attraction for tourism, and towards the southwest, of course, a new international airport. In general, new logistic systems that tie the countryside to the bigger urban cores. So it felt that we needed a new kind of taxonomy. Without going into detail, the initial conclusion has been that when there is a strong global momentum for top-down planning, and at the same time there's a very vibrant local community that sort of often casually is urbanizing the countryside, what is missing is this middle part, the mesoscale, the intermediary scale that we've been mapping and planning for. Ideally, if we can solve this intermediary scale, we can begin to bridge top-down and bottom-up. We wanted to approach this as scientifically as possible, and now, of course, we have a lot of data available. So we've been, on the one hand, using GIS cluster models. Here you can see the colors in our specific cluster analysis that begin to describe certain land use types. So if you look at one color, let's say orange, within orange, one type of strategy might be applicable. That helps us to, on the one hand, be specific. We will develop a planning strategy for orange, but that strategy can be upscaled for larger regions. And secondly, we've been using data to analyze this really fine-grained, intricate road network that is typical of the Desa-Kota. So where maybe the West that has rightfully been mentioned as well, there's a lot of Western-centric thinking and in planning theory. Our systems tend to be very hierarchical. Of course, the Desa-Kota is fairly level. That means that it's hard to analyze, it's hard to understand. Big data has been able to provide new insight. In this case, you see a loop that we've kind of simulated that runs between Semarang and Yogyakarta along the highways, from which any point can be connected within a 1 hour travel time. So we've been calling this the 1 hour city. That's not to say you can go from Semarang to Yogyakarta in 1 hour, sadly, not yet. But what you can see is that diagonally to the highways, the loop of highways in this system, you can reach the two edges within 1 hour. That's interesting. We already heard the 15-minute city today in Paris. This is kind of like a 2 times 30 minutes for the countryside of Central Java. So that began to kind of provide a bit of clarity in what type of environment we're operating. But it is a practical project. We're trying to achieve a strategy that can be upscaled for the region and ideally even provide a policy advice at national level. So it has to be very practical. We began to kind of break it down along these 3 colors, red, green, and blue, where at the larger scale, we suggested, well, maybe we can kind of block truck access from entering this intricate road system because it's quite disruptive. And as we are building more and more big roads, the green infrastructure is damaged and disconnected. So rather than developing, we're kind of trying to coax and limit, which in Indonesia, which is really very much on the up and up, is a challenging proposal. I think the predicament we're all facing as planners is that between development and restraint and preservation. Then on a slightly smaller scale, we've found that a lot of the roads are accessible by car, and you can actually stop anywhere along these roads. So because they're not really designed, they induce sprawl along these roads. So this kind of band formation, these kind of ribbon formations are occurring along what we've been calling level 2, 4, 5, and 6 roads that are actually accelerating growth in the Desa-Kota, in the countryside. So maybe redesigning these sections of these, let's say, regional road systems could really help prevent that sprawl formation. And then finally, the blue system there is, of course, running through the entire Desa Kota, a beautiful, intricate water system. We just heard about water in the cities. This is water in the countryside. We feel that that can be a new backbone to reconnect all the bits of green and actually further reforest the Desa Kota to make it a stronger, resilient landscape that actually can absorb more carbon. So those are the kind of the elevator pitch points that we've distilled after years of work. Here you see some sort of an overview image what that could mean at these bus stations that are officially already in planning. You could imagine you have a crossover between the large highways, between the urban and metropolitan network towards the local and rural network. So goods can travel quickly from the countryside to the city, to the consumer, but trucks don't have to enter this fragile system. At these intersections, we can imagine there are certain, well, we've been calling them labs or clinics, basically buildings that absorb a lot of different program where you can have a storage of agricultural goods, but you can also do e-learning, healthcare. You can offer offices, flex working spaces, etc. So this needs to be developed, obviously, but somehow using these existing already urbanized pockets within the system, we could imagine you can begin to offer new services to the countryside. And then as a sort of initial little rendering of what the green corridors could mean, you see how these networks are permeating the beautiful landscape, but could really be enhanced, could be strengthened to make a more resilient system. And that ultimately would be a slow traffic, walking, biking, maybe scootering network. Here you see it in more detail. On the left, you see the original line in yellow, and then we could potentially expand that outwards. Here you see it in the map very clearly, the beautiful sort of meandering river system. And in dark green, the patches can begin to reconnect existing forests, but also existing orchards. So to summarize, we have a number of scales that we're trying to connect, and that at each scale we're going to offer a set of solutions that are currently being developed, a sort of a catalog of solutions that ideally become part of the policy framework for the future towards 2045. In order, if we, in our humble understanding, if we can do that using both big data and this very much community-oriented approach, if all goes well, at the end of this month, we should, meaning Harman and I, should have landed in Central Java, and we should start work with the community to test these ideas and get feedback from these meetings, because it's our belief that if we can indeed solve this is a beautiful old image of the Borobudur as a diagram. If we can solve the landscape of the Borobudur, we actually have a first step towards solving the larger rural system of Java. So please join us, and thank you for your attention.
Oh, terima kasih, Neville. I think you did an excellent job in presenting very interesting topics. Yeah, Desa Kota Reconnected, and then of course this is a project in progress. So hopefully that in August 2022 in Bali, Neville can present, or the whole team can present a more concrete ideas of a very interesting future Indonesian cities or Java cities. Ya. Terima kasih Neville, Ibu Bapak-Bapak. Ini very important for you to know that we are in the process of predicting or giving some ideas for the Jawa di tahun 2045. 100 tahun kemerdekaan Indonesia, Indonesia Emas 2045. Kita mencoba memberikan gambaran mengenai bagaimana masa depan Jawa di tahun 2045. Dan kita akan membuat beberapa skenario, tapi yang disampaikan Neville tadi menarik sekali. Kalau ide desa kota reconnected itu bisa diaplikasikan di tahun 2045, mudah-mudahan kita bisa mempunyai satu settlement yang lebih sustainable dan resilient. Sangat menarik. Terima kasih Neville ya. I'm sure that this will attract a lot of participants, especially coming from public institution, cities all over Indonesia. Bu Yani, who's next? Sonia and then Manfredo ya, perhaps.
Ya. Yeah, Pak Ari.
Pak Ari also join?
Yeah, Pak Ari is
good.
joining us today. Sonia, Pak Ari, and then Prof. Manfredo. Thank you very much, Pak Neville and Harman. Sonia, please kindly share your thoughts.
Thank you. So, hello everyone. I'm conscious that most people would be a bit tired. We have been here already for more than 2 hours, so I'm going to try to do it very brief and quick. So I think that we are all very excited about going to Bali. Hopefully we can travel to Bali and we can be there. That would be great, especially coming from Australia, which, as you might know, that we have been a bit like in prison here for 2 years. But anyway, so I have 4 points, and some of these points have already been mentioned by other speakers before, and a bit something that Pat Deden mentioned in terms of the book. So I think that, first of all, the main advantage and opportunity that this Congress is bringing us is how we can show the world what the Global South is doing in terms of planning, and how other regions, in particular the North, can learn about the South, and in particular about Indonesia. So as Pat Deden was mentioning, we are finishing now an edited book. I'm going to mention a bit of the book a bit later, but when we were writing the conclusion of the book, we were saying, okay, what are the points that we want to highlight in terms of lessons learned from all these practices, from 27 chapters that we have from very different cities, very diverse realities, and how we can show that the lessons that we have learned from those cities can be applicable or can be useful for cities outside Indonesia. So I think that that's the main advantage that this Congress could bring us all, how to probably not apply the same recipes, but show what innovation, what creativity has been put in place in Indonesia, which for me is the second point, which is showing that the disruption of the challenges that we have learned, in a way, in Indonesia, the big advantage is that people are very used to learning outside the box and using innovation, creativity, originality, and the need to respond super fast to the unknown all the time, and to things that had not been planned, which is not something common in other parts of the world. So how that can also be a big advantage coming from Indonesia that can be circulated or shown to the world. My third point is that I agree with all the speakers, and I think it was Pat Chris who was talking about how different sectors or different participants in the Congress could be taking advantage of the discussions, and we could have, like, yes, most of us will be researchers or academics, but at the same time it's going to be really important if the private sector is involved, in particular people from the governments, but also the private sector, like emphasizing the big role that the private sector has in how we produce and we manage and we plan our cities. They are also a very important stakeholder, and how we can engage with them, it's really important now in the present, but also in the future. So for all of you who might have projects with the private sector, try to bring them to the Congress to show what they are doing as well, and how they might be complementing what other sectors are doing. And I think in that sense, it's also really important to emphasize the roles of local communities, and perhaps that could be a session that can be done in the Congress as a very different section, which is highlighting the immense and very innovative work that communities in Indonesia do every single day. And that is sometimes not something that is so visible. So maybe perhaps the idea could be to have a forum of different practices from local communities or local NGOs, Pak Bobby, Bu Yani, we all know people in Yogyakarta or other cities who are very much involved and have been doing extremely wonderful things, that it's going to be really important if those practices can be highlighted and can be shown to other participants and other cities. And the final point is that Pak Deden was mentioning, and some of you have been contributors to this book project that we have been working on for like 2 years. Unfortunately, we got more than 100 people who wanted to participate in the book, and there are many people, even people who are here now in the forum, who were not able to be part of the book. So we are discussing if there could be a second book or not, but that's another conversation. But so we are planning to launch the book in the Congress, and I wanted to show you one image, which is I'm not sure. Yeah, no, it's not the cover. We don't have the cover. Sorry, I can't share, but it's because of my computer.
Secret, yeah.
Yes, no, yeah, sorry, no, I can't share, but it's something with my computer. Let me, maybe, can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Can you see a map now?
Wow, yeah.
Okay, so just very quickly, so these are the 19 cities that we have discussed in the book. And the reason why I wanted to show this map is because we made a big effort in trying to show cities that are normally invisible or ordinary cities, cities that there might not be a lot of literature in English, cities that people might not be very familiar with. And so we made a big effort into having like the normal suspects, like, Jakarta, Yogyakarta, Semarang, Surabaya. So we all know that they have done really good work, but what about other very, very, very small cities that we might not even know? I didn't even know where they were located in Indonesia. Okay. So, so the idea was to showcase practices and lessons learned from very, very diverse cities. And also was, Deden mentioned, we had 64 contributors to the book, and some are people that you might know, well-known people outside Indonesia, but there are many, the majority, who are people based in Indonesia who might not be very well known, but they are doing excellent work. So the idea was to also show that, to circulate that, to share their own ideas. And that's why we think that it would be great if we can, I'm going to stop sharing this, if we can show the book, not because we have been involved, but because it's really good for people to learn outside of the country what is happening. And in particular, of course, we know that language might be a barrier for many of us. So, and that's why we decided to do it in English. And the final point is that one point that I think it was Chris who was mentioning in terms of the SDGs. So we asked all the contributors to say something about the SDGs for each of the cities they were discussing. And the idea was to try to see to what extent the SDGs were something that appeared explicitly in the cities, that if the local governments or if the local communities were explicitly trying to target the SDGs as is happening in other countries. And the result is that it's very diverse, but in most cases that's not happening very explicitly in terms of saying yes. So you see that the national government is very clear in terms of the SDGs being a very important framework, but at the very local level, that's not happening. So there is a bit of a mismatch in terms of that. And that is something that, that we wanted to highlight as part of the overall discussion of the book. And yeah, and I think that's all from me. So thank you very much. And yes, we are all very excited. It's a very good and exciting start of the year, thinking about Bali in September. So hopefully we can all see each other there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sonia. I hope really make us for this new year. Yeah, really waiting for the interesting book you mentioned. That's also remind me that I have a book that published already last year, but not yet openly published. Perhaps I will open also another session to compete with your book. Yeah, book interesting. Yeah.
To contribute, not to compete, to collaborate. They don't compete.
Thank you very much, Sonia. Please make the second one, so I will join the second book.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the next one will be Pak Ari, Bapak Ari Samsura.
Sorry,
Please,
Manfredo,
the
you
time
have to
is
wait
yours.
for quite long because you are coming from the very south of the global.
All right.
No worries, that's okay. I'm well acquainted.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Bu Yani. Thank you very much, Pak Bobby. Apparently, I cannot share my video, but there's no presentation I'm going to share today. I'm not preparing any presentation. But yeah, because all the presenter or all the speakers before already mentioned the most important thing regarding the Congress. So in here, I just would like to wish that ASPI will host the Congress very successfully. And I really think that this Congress, this conference, will be very good opportunities, of course, for Indonesian scholars, for Indonesian planning schools to show the great works they have done so far. And it is a time already, I think, for Indonesian schools and Indonesian scholars to take the stage front and center to show the great work they have done. And of course, I'm really enthusiastic. I'm really looking forward to go there. So it's already 2 years I'm postponing my travel to Indonesia, as Pak Bobby know. So usually we have joint studio between not only Gajah Mada and our university, Radboud University in the Netherlands, but also with Undip in Semarang. So, but because of COVID, so we have to postpone that. And I see also in the programs of the Congress, there will be joint studio as well. Yeah. And I think with this Congress later on is not only open opportunity to share the ideas how a planning school can prepare the students in a new challenge, but also can also collaborate in the education itself. So our joint studio already show that we can do more, not only about lecturing, because part of the important thing in planning is not only receiving knowledge in the classroom, so receiving knowledge, but to get our hand dirty by looking at real information from the practice, from the field. And we all know that Indonesia can be a very good example how we can prepare planning to contribute to the future challenge in urban and regional development. So yeah, So I think that's I would like to say, so not much. So I'm really, really honored to be invited to this forum, because most of the people who speak before are my teachers, so including Pak Bobby himself. I learned a lot from our collaboration so far. So thank you, and I wish all the luck, all the best for the Congress, for ASPI to host this Congress later in August in Bali. Thank you.
Terima kasih Pak Ari for your support. Since you are mentioning about the joint studio, there's two possibilities in the Congress. One is to join this for your students. Sonia also to send your student for the joint studio we are organizing a week before the Congress. Second, under the tracks of planning education, I think we can also propose special session on planning studio. I think with Sonia, we have also, Sonia, very interesting case on the Joy Studio. We even sent already, Sonia wrote a paper on experience of a Joy Studio. So we can have a special discussion under planning education for Joy Studio. Thank you, Pak Ari.
Thank you very much, Pak Bobby.
See you in Bali, ya, Pak Ari, ya.
Hopefully, insyaAllah.
Ya. Thanks, Pak Ari. Siapa Bu Yani Manfredo ya sekarang ya?
Yes, last but not least, Professor Manfredo.
Yeah.
Please.
Thank you very much. Just one question. For some reason, I cannot turn on my video. It says that the host has stopped it. I don't know if you can reactivate it.
Mas Arika, Mas Arika, could you please help?
Otherwise, I can simply speak without showing my face. I don't have to share any presentation, so it won't be a big deal.
Sorry, I think.
Now it's going. Now it's all right. Perfect. Yeah. All right. Again, so thank you again to having me here, and I'm very interested in participating in this session, and possibly I would love to come and join the Congress in September. I've never been to Bali. Actually, I've been there several times, but traveling, and only went to the airport, but never got out of the airport, which is really a pity. So I hope I can make it. I hope I can make it. The other thing is that, of course, I will try to see if my university, the University of Auckland in New Zealand, could give some contribution to this Congress, providing speakers, and maybe also if you need any help for moderation or other things, happy to collaborate, to find colleagues of mine. I think is a kind of a duty to be part of these major initiatives in this, I can say, Pacific space. This is particularly because I think that there are several aspects that are quite important in this Congress that are quite key to our activity here, and the activity in general of many people involved in education in this particular area, disciplinary area. And specifically, I'm very interested in that particular approach, and I think is quite clearly emphasized by the keynote speakers that you invited, and Mrs. Sharif, which is the executive director of UN Habitat, and of course Saskia Sassen. So people that, and I think that the fact that developing said that it's called developing goals, sustainable development goals have been came up at different times here during the talk today. Is also a testament to this effort in looking at a particular way in which we can coordinate and make a coordinated effort, possibly something that goes a bit more beyond just coordination, but create coalition, partnership, in order to really address those things in the way that we know have to be addressed, and not piecemeal bits and pieces, but in a sort of really wide alliance, establish wide alliances to achieve those goals. Particularly interested in this area. I'm particularly interested in this area because I'm doing several things also with the United Nations. There's a journal on public space that's published in it. I'm associated and doing other kind of things in that area with organizations, NGOs, and so on. And I think that one of the aspects that strikes me is exactly in the title, the fact that we're talking about this connection between inclusion, innovation, and disruption. So in a way, the connection between how disruption is not necessarily anything that we have to understand as a loss, as a dimension in which we create some particular, or we have some particular disadvantage, but understanding how disruption can be forms of using now the words, the idea of positive deterritorialization, positive moments of reorganization and rethinking, resetting of what we have. I think that's quite important, because what we have heard also today is that one of the topics that comes out when we discussing about planning in general is the question of how we're facing urbanization, not only because of the mega trends that we are facing with technology, with all what it is, we've seen the sheer urbanization rate and so on, but in particular the question of the pandemic. So how this particular condition that we have has generated an opportunity for us to rethink our pattern, our systems, as a way of working together again and establishing coalitions. It's not, I'm not talking now of post-pandemics, I'm not talking now of try to live in new normal, but try to understand how really pandemic has exacerbated some phenomena that we've seen in the past, and we really have to deal with them independently from the pandemic. Probably can understand the pandemic as something that encourages us, especially to work together and to collaborate internationally. So on this point, I would say that really the point of inclusion is something which is absolutely central to the question of establishing frameworks for diversity, for equity, and also for disagreement, because that's the major point. Rancière is probably the most prominent person who discussed how disagreement is fundamental. It's not fundamental in terms of being somehow showing the capacity of us to be tolerant, but it's actually the only way in which we can really deal with innovation, with diversity, with the differentiation that we need to really understand how our places are not just subject to an overall normalization, overall homogenization, but something else that moves more and more against what it is at the moment, something that is challenging. Exactly, we've seen now in this presentation those big trends, those changes, like this phenomenon of Desakota that is becoming something that is no longer just a Desakota. It's something which we can call with, say, Brenner, with even Lefebvre, a phenomenon of planetary urbanization. So it's no longer just the 10-minute city, the 15-minute city, or not even a 1-hour city, Samarang, from Samarang to Yogyakarta, but it's actually something which is absolutely global. And what we learned from the recent studies, and Saskia Sassen, by the way, I will never stop talking about that, is this phenomenon of dislocation, this phenomenon of networked system of insertions that are actually countering logics that are very specific to places, to location, to community, to cultures that we need absolutely to understand, and understand how to develop them in a form in which exactly these, through alliances and through recognition of diversity and disagreement, we can foster our own identities and the capacity to really work together. That's something important, because we are facing, I was saying, going back to the idea of the megatrends, a condition in which we're looking at is incredibly a speed up of accelerations of systems that go on and on to desynchronize ourselves from whatever it is around us. I'm leading a small unit called Urban Relational Informatics here at the University of Auckland, which is exactly looking at how we can, in a way, counter this system in which all of a sudden we lose connection to what is proximate, what is next to us, but at the same time, in our constant presence, we're not capable to cope with the extreme diversity and quantity of information around us. And that's something that exactly provokes what has been recognized as desynchronization. So the way in which we really get no longer capable to serve or to coordinate information, somehow to develop ourselves and the way in which we're doing things. So I don't have a presentation today because I didn't know actually I could present my work, but I think that in this Congress, if I could give an advice, I think that this particular area, and I've seen there is a stream on technology, on the new information technology and knowledge. And that's something that Indonesia is particularly prone, has a particularly advantage position to engage in this discussion on urbanization for many reasons. And the reasons are probably related to multiple aspects, starting from the question of, let's call it transculturalism. So I'm living in New Zealand. I'm from Europe. I'm Italian. As you can see, tell probably from my accent and my name. And of course, moving here, I was trying to move from one place which, from our perspective, is somehow at the center of whatever it is, the Western world. But coming here, all of a sudden, you realize that the map of the world is moves around, and all of a sudden you realize that the Pacific space is a space in which Indonesia is right at the core of those networks of information, of even infrastructures. One of the key topics here that we'll discuss today. And what is important here is to understand how these infrastructures are infrastructures that help, meaning in New Zealand, we're still talking about decolonialization. And post-colonial spaces are spaces exactly that engage with one of the major problems, which is exactly the question of transculturalism. So how can we talk to each other, maintaining our position, our differences, the question of dissensus that I was talking about before, and at the same time, the question of mobility, of translocalization that is supported by the mediatization, the new technologies that allow us to be continuously connected and reconnected across the spaces, but at the same time, they recreate new ecologies that are more and more place-based, space-based, placed in particular localities, situation, and conditions. So that's absolutely crucial. And I think that, again, Indonesia here, for many reasons, when I come to Indonesia, I'm always, the first thing I look at Grab, the new function that Grab has, because for me, it's just an incredible invention. And this is actually something that has to do with, let's call it democratization of something which unfortunately is getting out of our control. So this hybrid space, let's say, of the actual digital continuum moving from the, how can I say, the old to real to the old digital with the mixed reality, the augmented reality, the virtual reality, is something that is becoming really absolutely crucial to the way in which we produce our space, we produce our city. And this condition of hybridness is something that absolutely is crucial to be really discussed in the core places in which those major transformations, we heard of the major transformation of urbanization in Indonesia, and we know that this is a process that is exactly happening with that particular conjunctural dimensions that we see specifically happening in places where those phenomena are more based on structures that are, as in Indonesia, very ancient and very based on specific traditions that are consolidated. So now, if we want to, if I could give an advice, I would really try to somehow push this discussion around the question of what can be called the differential urbanization, the question of uneven development, the question of the metastability of territorial dimension, territorial aggregation that all of a sudden become more and more associated to specific places. So I'm very happy to be here and to give my contribution. If there's anything I can do from here to the conference, please reach out and I will see what I can do, or the colleagues of mine can do. And as I was saying, I think that also some of those topics that I've heard today from, as I was saying before, the question of understanding how pandemics is playing out and opening up some particular new opportunities, to understand the question of how that actually could be also a way in which we need to look at the sustainable development goals and how they are implemented through the new urban agenda. This is something that has to be critically addressed, because we know that there's not such a thing like one solution that can be simply repeated. And yes, we know that we can work with best practices and so on, but the most important thing is really to understand how they really come from a very specific, condition of assembly, condition of facilitation that we can, in one way, introduce in the processes. As we were saying hearing before, the question of how planning is not just making plans, but it's actually more a cultural dimension, is more a process in which involvement, and we as academics or professional actually facilitator and not decision makers. So that's, I think, the best, I guess, contribution I can give today. But as I told you, thank you very much for inviting me, and just reach out if there's anything I can do.
Wow. Thank you so much, Manfredo. 3 thanks for you. First is to support the Congress. Second, to support that Indonesian showcase is actually important for the global society. And third, thanks is, it seems to me that you are summarizing the whole discussion today. Thank you very much, because you cover so many things mentioned by the previous speakers. Very, 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 very good. Excellent, Manfredo. Bu Yani.
Thank you very much, Manfredo.
Still sedikit waktu untuk diskusi ya, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we have like 10 minutes, Pak, for discussion, and there is a question here for Pak Neville.
Neville, are you still there, or Harman perhaps? There's a nice, interesting question for you, Neville, or Harman.
I am here. Harman, you want to grab it?
So the question is, land clearing for unplanned urban activities beyond the regional support and capacity data is one of the causes of the lack of functioning of rivers from upstream to downstream, causing disasters in all aspects. What is your opinion and alternative treatments maybe related to water sensitive urban planning? Yeah.
Okay, let me start, but Harman, if you want to jump in, just jump in anytime, yeah? Maybe he's making coffee at the moment, I'm not sure.
He's here, Harman is here.
But let me just say, yeah, at the heart of our project has been this ambition to plan within a closed land balance, meaning that observing the whole system in a simple way reduced to RGB, red, green, and blue. We don't want to develop converting even a single square meter from agriculture to urban or from forest to urban. In fact, that becomes extremely difficult because organically it's happening. So what we're doing is we're trying to kind of reforest and recreate new green patches in order to compensate for any loss that urbanization naturally brings. So that's the short answer. But in terms of water, Harman? Oh, maybe he's turned off. Anyway, in terms of, oh yeah, there you are. You want to jump in?
I think we have we've been exploring a number of different approaches on this point. One of the things that we saw was that at the local level, most of the developments are basically unplanned. So they seem to be happening, but they also are always connected to infrastructure. So you could actually plan and for new green patches, which is one of the things that we do, but you can also plan for kind of degrading mobility infrastructure. Basically what happens then is that you create an environment which is less interesting for developments to take place. If you do so, you can only do this when you have another plan in the back of your head. So it's extremely important to use all the maps that we're working at to be able to create this infrastructure that connects all the villages, that connects all the markets, while at the same time disconnecting a large part of the agricultural area. Because what happens then is that you can, without working with enforcement of planning, you can create a system which is basically steering and nudging development into the right way. So this is one of the things that we were thinking about. Another thing that we were also thinking about, and then I have to refer back to Professor Laksono, he was making a case for a planning ecosystem. And I think this planning ecosystem is not only an ecosystem that consists out of the ideas of planners or the works of planning agencies, but it's also something that can be done by the public. So we were thinking, when Neville was mentioning the Saichana clinics, he was mentioning them as buildings, but you could also see them as institutes, as places where academics and practitioners, together with experts of experience, create this narrative of what they think is the most important for the cultural landscape there. What you then do in that case is you create this momentum where not only the authorities create a do or don't for any development in the landscape, but you actually employ the whole public opinion with it. So there's a lot of things that we are at this moment exploring in that case.
Well, yeah. And in other words, it's more inclusive planning involving so many stakeholders. I think inclusivity is an important term we discussed today. I think that from Penn, Germany also mentioned about the poly-centric urban water, asking for more, decentralized and participation from so many stakeholders in terms of water. And you mentioned about the cultural landscape clinics, as an exercise for more inclusive planning system or model. Terima kasih, Harman. Thanks, Harman, for the answer. And I feel, is there any other question, Bu Yani?
I think there is no questions, no more questions, Pak. Maybe closing remarks from Pak Bobby or the representatives.
I will invite actually our speaker if you like to give short closing remarks. I don't know, Sonia, Harman, who are still there. But Manfredo already summarized nicely all aspects. Manfredo, I remind me that Saskia Sassen is the one that we invite for the keynote speech, especially since you are mentioning the global cities and so on. Saskia Sassen is the one we think that a good person to deliver keynote speakers. Any closing remarks perhaps you like to make, Pak Laksono, Neville, Harman, Sonia?
I've been thinking about something briefly. I think for this forum, the biggest opportunity, I guess, is bridging this gap between practice and theory. That's critical for students, but it's also critical for the reality of a rapidly evolving landscape. That means that embracing global theory is extremely important. At the same time, as many have mentioned, that global theory, including Saskia Sassen and Deleuze, it's also Western-centric. So it needs to be, let's be honest. It needs to be adapted and it needs to land locally, and that's exactly what this group of people, I think, is capable of achieving. So I hope that would be the goal for the next months.
Yeah, thanks, Neville. That's why the importance of Indonesian Showcase, to be presented in the Bali Forum, including your project, as Manfredo mentioned about the Global South, sharing some kind of, Thank you, Neville. Any other comments, perhaps, concluding remarks? Manfredo, Pak Ari, Sonia, perhaps. But Pak Laksono, please.
Yeah, I think I'm interested in Neville's comments. That's the most important thing, I think, for us here in Indonesia, is to learn how to use whatever theories we have about planning and apply it in Indonesian situation. And it's very unique. I mean, no amount of Western planning theory can really solve problems in Indonesia, because our problem is very culturally steeped, and well, everything is different. I mean, in Indonesia, how we think about land, how people respond to plans, to regulations. You know, it's different. I think this is my life's question, actually: how to connect planning theories with practice in Indonesia, useful practice that is able to solve real problems in real life. So let's go towards that direction.
Thank you, Pak Sono. I think Sonia and Pak Deden books on compilation of best practice, well, not best practices, cases from all over Indonesia may also will contribute a lot to that issues, the Global South Indonesian showcase and so on and so forth. Thank you, Pak Sono. Bu Yani mungkin ditutup ya, since we are Manfredo, it seems that you are going to say something. No, okay, yeah.
If you want, I can give a remark, but I think it's quite late, so maybe.
But yeah, thanks,
enough,
Manfredo. You did already an excellent job to summarize every issues we discussed. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bu Yani, maybe we have to close, yeah, since we have already now.
Yep.
Tapi terima kasih from my side, yeah. I can just say thank you for boosting our energy, the whole ASPI members, the local organizing committee. We still have, well, in positive way, we still have 6 months to go, but a lot of homework we have to do to successing the World Planning School Congress. One thing I forgot to mention to you that on the pre-congress is also very interesting program. We mentioned, for example, the PhD joint colloquium. Manfredo, if you have a PhD colloquium, Sonia, if you have PhD student, then you can ask, or you yourself, you can even join the. We will contact you later, yeah, on several activities pre-congress, yeah, the joint studio, the PhD colloquium, the international planning student meeting, even, yeah. Yeah, thank you very much, semuanya. Bu Yani, we may close this forum.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Bobby. Thank you very much, all of the speakers, Prof. Iwan, Prof. Haryo Winarso. Thank you very much, all of the panelists. We are so honored to have you all here for several hours already, with a different with several time differences, yeah. Pak Jono, thank you very much. Pak Sani, Neville, Sonia, Prof. Chris, Prof. Deden, Prof. Manfredo, Pak Ari, Harmen, and then who else? Pak, yeah, everyone. Thank you very much once again. We would like to also ask for your support for the World Planning School Congress and Asian Planning School Congress 2022. And also, please feel free to disseminate the information about our call for submissions that I already shared through Zoom meeting, and everyone, also the participants, can join, and please also feel free to share it to your networks. Thank you once again for joining us today. We do apologize if there is any mistakes. Yeah, thank you for also joining via YouTube channel of MPWK. Once again, Happy New Year, and stay safe, everyone. Stay healthy, and we hope to see you in World Planning School Congress and Asian Planning School Congress 2022 in Bali this August and September. Thank you, everyone. Please turn on your camera so we can take a picture together. Close this. Urip session.
Yani style, always take picture, group picture. Yeah, it's Yani's mantra, Even.
Terima kasih banyak Bapak Ibu, ini banyak yang setia menemani. So we have so many participants from government agencies, yeah, from all over Indonesia. Very loyal, very loyal to us.
It's quite inclusive, ya Bu Yani, the forum.
Inclusive, yeah. Students, academicians, practitioners as well. Okay, let's take a picture. The page, we have 8 pages, yeah, here. So page 1. Okay. This 1, 2, 3. Okay. Next one.
Private sector also join the forum.
1, 2, 3.
Also kids also join. Good.
Very inclusive, Pak, ya. Really inclusive.
Alia, how are you doing, Alia? Long time no. Yeah, good. From PUPR, also from the Ministry of Public Works, from provincial government. Alia, maybe we propose special session, yeah, public. We will write a letter to Ministry of Public Works, Cipta Karya, to have special session in which you can present your the minister program. From the provincial and local government also open for you to propose a special session. We will invite you specially, ya, Pak Kultom dari Bapeda, Pak Hari dari Sumatera Selatan. Randy, how are you doing, Randy, over there in London, Randy?
Thank you very much once again, everyone.
I'm good, very well. Thank you, Pak Bobby.
Pak Holly, thank you. See you again. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We can close this seminar.
Prof Bobby, bisa minta nomor HP-nya Prof Bobby?
0811 tak tulis ya Pak.
Ya Pak.
0811 253 220. Gampang.
253
220.